Hello, Rick. This is Kehan. I hope you're doing great in these time and days. I'm gonna start talking about what I did with social data mining of two news medias. I targeted two news media from UK, the Independent UK and the Guardian. So I'm gonna tell you first about coding. I used Spider and Python to do the coding and I wrote two different codes for each. I wrote one code for each news media. One is the Independent, the other one is the Guardian. So what I do is I query the RSS feed from each news media, and then I get the list of articles that they can provide me, and then I start scrapping those articles, pulling out what I can. Um, then I did removal of noise, which is these funny characters actually from not all of them are funny characters, but there are some of them are from UK, like the pound and the characters with accents, and the quotes that are sometimes from left and right. And then I do remove the stop words in order to create keywords, and then I do analysis. For also do the frequency distribution, and basically I go through the what each article in the RSS feed represent, and I target each URL in that RSS feed, and I pull the text such as the title, description, and finally the text. In that text, I start removing the noise. uh, I do the analysis. I also use text blob, and do the calculate the polarity. I put that into a dictionary in Python, and then I execute a command to write that dictionary into a SQL database, which is defined up here. It's an inserts into a table called stories, and I store what I need in there. Basically, you find this. I also do some calculation of polarity, which you actually, I think you told me that you don't need this to find out what's the best story, what's the worst story. This section was already in place from the previous assignment. So the independent is like this. The code I showed you. The Guardian is also similar to the Guardian, but I had to write a different code because it's a different structure than the independent. Once this part is done, what I do is, because I don't know the topic, what I of each article that comes from the RSS feed, because I don't know the topic, I select topics myself and I put that into a table called topics in the database. Then I read that topic, the list of topics, and then I execute the update SQL to target each channel, and I take a look at the title and I look at the description. And if either one of them is like the topic in my list, the topic could be Boris Johnson, Donald Trump, coronavirus, then it would assign the topic to my database. So I know that the article in the database, I know the topic of the article in the database. Not all articles in the database match the topic. So we're going to see this later. So it's 1, 2, 3 step in terms of Python coding. I wasn't able to pull the picture out. We had difficulty with this. Rahul solved the problem with using a different library, which did not correspond to actually this library, which we did this from the previous assignment to read from the HTML. But he did it in a different library, but we didn't have time. I didn't have time to incorporate that in here. He's going to talk about his code later on in his own video. So I use the NLTK libraries to tokenize and to match the words against the subwords in the NLTK and to calculate the probability or the frequency of distribution of each word. So this machine here, what you see is the Linux machine that is running the Python, and it's seen in the virtual machine. And on a different machine, I'm using the Oracle database. So back to the host machine, I'm going to show you the database activity part of this video. So what I did was from the previous assignment, I was able to create the tables by creating a script that would create the tables that are going to store the data. So the main table is stories, as you will see in the PowerPoint presentation. After creating these tables, by the way, these are the topics that I'm inserting into the topics table. So you can change this, and according to this, I will populate each record in the stories. I will give them the topic that corresponds to these pre-selected topics in my database. So basically, the relationship we received in the PowerPoint presentation is the stories, basically, and then you have polarity that are linked to each other, and if not, topics that is linked to the stories. Polarity, actually, you said that you don't need this, which is the best stories, best titles, worst stories, the worst titles. So it was already in place from the previous assignment. But basically, it's very simple, very, very simple. And this is two tables holding the data, and you can see the structure, columns, the data types, and you will see this in the PowerPoint presentation. In this, after creating the tables, I do create some triggers to update date and time that each record is being inserted into the database. Once the data is in the database, I have created a different script, it's a SQL script that would read these tables, that topics tables, stories tables, polarities that you need. You would read them and it would spool the data, the result, into a file. So spooling to a stories CSV file. Whatever this query is, the data, the result of it is going to go into this table. Whatever the result of this query is going to go to, it's going to spool to this CSV file. So that's basically this for the database. And when you see the data in the database, we're going to see that you don't need. You're going to see the data as is in here. So as I said before, not every RSS, not every article in the RSS has a match with the topics that I have selected. So there are those who remain without a topic. So in total, let's say independent has approximately around a little bit over 864 records, and some of them do have records that correspond to the topic. And the Guardian is much less, it's a little bit over 116 records. So that's basically what we see. And as I mentioned, I believe to you in previously, the data is stored in a club character long object data type, where you can see actually the article itself, the text of the article, before being before noise is removed, before uh, stop words are removed. Uh, After stop words are removed and noise are removed, you get something that where the words such as the, uh, air, do not exist in the article. So this allows us to do some frequency distribution analysis on this, which Elfin did that. I can talk to you about. So basically, I have the placeholder actually for the for the picture as well. I just didn't bring it in yet, as mentioned. It was too late to incorporate that picture in the database. As you can see, it's a blob. It's a binary long object. Binary. It's a picture. It's a media. It's a binary. Whether it's a picture, video, or audio, it's binary. If it's a text, but it's a long text, then it becomes a CLOB, character long object. So what else can I tell you about this? About the database itself, I told you the script. That's the database. In terms of visualization, I did some part of the visualization where I list at the beginning the topics in the database. I give you some measurements of how many match the topic per news media, how many we have in total. I also created a sentiment percentage where I did a pie chart representing the sentiment percentage. I also did the top top 10, bottom 10 of articles. And you can select Boris Johnson. Unfortunately, how many does it have? Boris Johnson has 105 in Independence and 2 in The Guardian. So you see the articles that are the top 10 or top bottom 10 that are related to Boris Johnson. Coronavirus is richer, and poor Donald Trump is doesn't doesn't match the top 10 and bottom 10. So it's the same thing with the positivity and with positive articles or the negative articles. Uh, so we can select it each way, whether we go this way or from right to left. We weren't able to incorporate the picture or nor able to incorporate the coronavirus where you can choose, for instance, the coronavirus. It would interactively select the other the other articles, the other articles. So basically, that's the visualization that I've been working on, and like I hope it's not all the way, it's not doesn't answer all the requirements that you asked, but hopefully at another time I'll be able to complete this by myself. And thank you for your attention. Talk to you later.